First off, a content warning. This video will be discussing ableism, ableist slurs, oppression of disabled people, and we'll be using uncensored ableist slurs. This video will also have some mild yelling sequences, so please beware of that. And click off this video if that's not something you want to deal with today.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No, this is Patrick.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No, this is Patrick.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No, this is Patrick.
I've moved locations to film, so you are going to see my my bed in the background. I sleep in the living room of my house. Anyway, I just watched a video by a YouTuber I really like called Re-Education. And the video was about words like stupid, idiot, moron, things like that. And whether or not they're bad. The title of the video was, I think, is stupid a slur? And his video was mostly talking about how he's torn on the issue, though it seems like he kind of comes down on the side of no, it isn't. Though he is asking his fans, his viewers to, put their, what they think about it. At the end, he does this quote by George Carlin, which is actually why I decided to make this video, because the quote at the end is really... I'll get into it later. Okay. And the quote by George Carlin was where he's talking about people with PTSD and how it used to be called shell shock, but as the years went on, the term became more and more medicalized and softened in the public consciousness. And so I wanted, that's basically his video. I hope that's a good enough synopsis, but I do recommend that you watch his video first before you watch my response. Also, this is my first response video, and I'm a little bit terrified because I've never done it before, and because Re-Education is kind of a bigger YouTuber, like really a bigger YouTuber, definitely than me. So I hope that this video doesn't feel confrontational or rude, because I'm really trying to be nice because I do like Re-Education. I like his videos. I've learned a lot from them, and I really think this can be a teachable moment for not only him but his viewers and leftists as a whole. So the first thing, in the beginning, he mentions that he got a message from one of his viewers saying that he shouldn't use ableist slurs, and he said that he didn't know what they were talking about because he doesn't like to use ableist slurs. And then the person he was talking to replied and explained that they were talking about words like stupid or idiot. And one of the things that I find really interesting about Re-Education's response to this is his focus on the term slur. Now, the term slur is kind of vague, but I think the first thing people think of is the N-word, and I want to be completely clear on this because it's something that that really annoys me. You don't have to relate everything back to the N-word. Not every bad word is like the N-word. Let me explain. Okay, words like idiot or stupid or moron or even retard, and I am going to use that word in this video so that you understand that all of these words mean... We'll go back. Okay, so those words are different than the N-word. I wouldn't really call them slurs. What's wrong with these terms, and I'm hoping I can explain this in a way that makes sense because I'm not very good at communicating my ideas. what's wrong with these slurs or these words is not that they're slurs. It's that by using them, you're sort of normalizing ableism in society. Now, ableism is one of the most acceptable forms of bigotry in our society. It is one of the things that you will see famous people do, you will see public officials do, and it's considered okay. And that's really scary. And I think other disabled people will agree with me that it is normal in our society to see disability and oppression against disabled people as not a big issue or not as pervasive as it is. And I'm not saying that re-education believes this. However, by using terms like stupid and moron and idiot, you are propagating that subconscious idea in society. And I would like to go over the history of these words, because not a lot of people know them. Words like idiot, moron, retard, these are medical terms that they used to use, usually for mentally disabled people, but sometimes also for physically disabled people or mentally ill people. And these words were used to violently oppress disabled people. Disabled people were institutionalized because of these words. They had their rights taken away. They were put on oppressive medications and given horrible medical procedures that are essentially torture and have no medical basis whatsoever. And to this day, disabled people do not have the same rights as regular people, abled people. And one of the reasons why these words are so harmful to us is because we're still suffering. It's still okay to laugh at us. It's still okay to hate us. It's still okay to not employ us, to deny us healthcare, to deny us housing. We can't get married. We can't make over a certain amount of money, or we get our benefits taken away. There's so many things. And to have these words brushed off like they're nothing really upsets me, and upsets a lot of other people. And I wish that people understood that, because it's so insensitive. And I know that a certain segment of leftists don't care about that. They don't care about being sensitive or about the feelings of other people, because they think it makes us look weak. That by accommodating disabled people or people, minority people, that it makes the left look weak, and it gives ammunition to reactionaries. And I think I've made my opinions about that pretty clear, at least on Twitter. I disagree, number one, I think is a light way to put it. At the very least, I disagree. At the very most, I find it frankly offensive. I think the idea that making leftist spaces safer for marginalized people is wrong because it makes us look bad. That you're putting optics over the safety of other leftists, it just gets me steaming. And I think to calm down a little bit, in Re-Education's video, he does mention that he used to be a Republican, I think is what he said, right-wing, I guess, and one of the reasons he had trouble coming over to the left is because of things like this. I guess you'd call them identity politics. Everybody loves that term or that phrase, I'm sure. I don't. And what I would say to that is, and I really mean this in the nicest, most respectful way possible, because I know a lot of people have had this experience. Leftists have had this experience coming, whether you're a white leftist or an able-bodied leftist or a cis leftist or a straight leftist or whatever, non-marginal group you're a part of, and you felt unwelcome or uncomfortable or anything like that. Like, you really felt that has limited your ability to join leftist spaces. And what I want to say, and like I said, I'm saying this in the most respectful way possible, is to get over it. I don't care. The fact that this is even a talking point makes me just livid, because it is so ironic. It is so ironic. It is... I don't even know if irony is the right word, but I'm going to use it anyway, because it just boggles my mind that people don't see the like, okay, if you want to talk about being unwelcome in leftist spaces, to me, to anyone of a minority group, you want to sit there and say, this made me uncomfortable, I didn't like it, I think it's hard for me to change my behavior, and it makes us look bad, and I don't care. I know that makes people mad, and I know that makes me seem like an asshole, and like I'm insensitive, but I need you to understand that you're being sensitive and soft. And I know that non-marginalized people are not used to hearing that, because usually it is framed that we are the soft, weak, and sensitive people. And frankly, that is not the case. The amount of bullshit we have to put up with, the amount of small, microaggressive behaviors we have to put up with on the left, the amount of patience we have to have for other leftists, the amount of effort and energy we have to put into educating other leftists is immense. And to have someone say, well, what about us? Like, oh my god, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Oh my god. I don't fucking care. Okay. Like, okay. Now that we've gotten that meanness out of the way, and I really don't want re-education. If he ever does watch this, I don't know if he will. I have like 300 subscribers. I don't want you to think that I'm yelling at you or angry at you or scolding you or trying to be patronizing, because I'm not. In fact, I'm not even just talking to you. I'm talking to the left in general. I just think it's something that you have to hear. Because... And I remember I was just watching Twitchy Spoonie or Snapple and Cats. If you're not following her, I'll have her link in the description. She's an elder disabled YouTuber, leftuber. And she was just talking on her stream about how much labor is put in by disabled people to make leftist spaces comfortable for abled people, and how we put in so much work to make abled people understand. And Also, one of the things she said was how a lot of times she feels like she's annoying abled leftists when she speaks up to them because she's a smaller YouTuber, or a smaller left tuber, bread tuber, whatever, what the fuck ever. And I know exactly what she's talking about. I think a lot of minority voices on the left know what she's talking about, because you feel like you're being a little nuisance, oh, can you please, can you just not do this one tiny little thing, like, can you not do that, please? It makes me uncomfortable, like, I'm trying not to be a bother, but but okay, let's be serious here. We are some of the nicest, most patient fucking people on the whole planet. I swear to God. And, like, I just want other disabled or minority group leftists, don't ever feel guilty for speaking up for yourself or speaking up for marginalized voices. Don't ever feel guilty about being mean or angry or impatient. Don't ever feel like that. Because what we do is important. Leftists need to be re-educated on this. Okay? They need to be told, and sometimes it's uncomfortable, they need to be told that what they're doing is shitty. And if sometimes you're not nice about it, that's okay. That's all I have to say about that part. But I am trying to, I know it doesn't seem like it, I am trying to be nice and polite and patient and sit here and say, you know what? I'm sorry that it is really hard for you not to say these words. These, 3 words. I think he also added crazy into there, lunatic, psycho, crazy, stupid, idiot, whatever words. I'm sorry that these words you're not allowed to use them. That the PC police is coming and taking them away from you, like the gay Gestapo or something. I'm sorry that you have so much trouble not being ableist, and that it makes you uncomfortable, and that all of your reactionary friends laugh at you. As I'm saying this, I'm getting more and more angry. Like, I'm trying to be a good YouTuber, a good little YouTuber, and be nice with bigger YouTubers, because they could zap me off the face of the earth if they tried. But, I want re-education and other abled leftists to reflect on how it must feel for people that have learning disabilities, that have, cognitive disabilities, that are, neurodivergent or neuroatypical, whichever term you prefer, people with mental illnesses, people with disabilities. I want you to think about how it feels to live in a world where you have no respect, you have no self-determination, you do not have the same rights as abled people, you are probably living off of literally nothing, just pennies from the government, if you're lucky. And sometimes your health care is bullshit. Doctors talk down to you, your family talks down to you, the whole world talks down to you, and they use these words that the history of them, what they mean in the public consciousness, even if it is the public subconscious, and you have to sit there and just listen to it, because if you speak up, you're seen as rude or mean or disrespectful or confrontational or whatever. And I want you to think about how it must feel to go to a space like a leftist space where you're supposed to feel safe and welcome and be around comrades, and hear them say the exact same shit. Like, can you imagine that? People that you are fighting with to make the world a better place are doing the same bullshit that everyone else is doing, and they are absolutely unapologetic about it. I want you to imagine that. And then I want you to imagine sitting in my living room on a laptop with a $25 microphone, and imagine sitting here and trying to calmly, respectfully, politely, nicely, sweetly, cutely, sugar on top, say, please stop. Stop. Stop doing it. Just stop doing it. It's not hard. Like, it's literally the easiest thing in the fucking world. Like, I don't... Like, just imagine doing that. Being in our position. Having to day in and day out explain the same fucking shit over and over and over again, and having to wear a smile while you do it. And then I want you to go online and call Trump stupid. Like, like you're gonna just do that. You're gonna just keep doing that. After everything, you just don't care. It doesn't matter. We don't matter enough. Our comfort and feeling of safety in leftist space is just not that big of a deal. I like saying these words. They're fun. I like them. It is too hard to use other words. It's not like you can criticize people on anything else. It's not like Trump has like a million other things you could say about them. It's not like Nazis have a million other bad words they can be called. No. You have to call them stupid. You have to call them crazy. Now, I want to get back to that George Carlin quote, because I think re-education misunderstood that quote. And here's why. In the quote, George Carlin is talking about PTSD and how over time in public consciousness, it became more and more sensitized. And re-education is applying words like stupid or idiot or moron or crazy to this analogy, is what I'm assuming by him putting it in the video. I don't think he would just put it in the video for no reason if it didn't have to do with this. And he's applying that same logic to PTSD, or to shell shock and PTSD. Here's the problem with that. If you understand why the word retard is wrong, and you're using this line of thinking that by editing our language over time, we're making it more and more desensitized, but you understand that the word retard is wrong. In this case, how is the word retard wrong, then? I mean, we've changed it to, whatever you want to call it, developmental disabilities. Well, haven't we just desensitized the world to it? Shouldn't we go back to calling them mongoloids or something? Because that just makes more sense because it has less syllables. Okay. And look, I don't want to rag on George Carlin. I think a lot of what he did was really great. But he was wrong in this case. I think the spirit of it was right. He is right that the world has become desensitized to it. But he is wrong that it's because the medical world came up with better terminology. Like, there are reasons why they call it post-traumatic stress disorder and not shell shock. Number one, post-traumatic stress disorder is not always caused by being in the trenches in World War I. There's a reason why medical terminology changes. There's a reason that medical terminology is the way it is. It's because you got to classify it in certain ways. You're having doctors use it. Like, okay. PTSD. How many people in this country, and I'm talking about America here, I think re-education might be Canadian, but whatever, North America, how many people don't know how awful PTSD is? How many people don't know that? How many people that don't know stories about, like, veterans coming back from Iraq and having PTSD? How many people don't know about that? Oh, well, they don't know because it's called PTSD and not shell shock. No, that doesn't happen, okay? That does not happen. I'm sorry, George Carlin, but you are wrong, okay? The word shell shock, just because it's shorter and has a catchier name, is not better or more enlightening for the public. People didn't give a shit about people with shell shock back in the day. They didn't give a fuck. Like, what? How could you compare the type of public consciousness we have to PTSD now? I'm really not talking to re-education at this point. I'm talking to George Carlin. How could you compare the public consciousness about PTSD to the public consciousness of shell shock during World War I? People during World War I didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a shit about people with mental illness. Like, what? Okay, we need to get back to the topic on hand, because I'm just going to go on a George Carlin rant. Okay. So, the point of this quote is to say that over time, medical terminology changes, and sometimes that causes people to become desensitized to the realities of mental illness, disability, whatever. And I don't know how to tell you this, but the difference between words like shell shock, which means something very specific, and idiot, or moron, or crazy, or stupid, is that they are not good medical terms, because there's a reason they got rid of them, and it wasn't out of the kindness of their hearts, I'll tell you that shit. Okay, the reason they got rid of them is because the classifications that they used for these words, these medical terms, were a bunch of bullshit. They didn't mean anything. You had people with, like, Down syndrome, and people with autism, and people with brain injuries being put into the same category under moron or whatever. There's a reason they got rid of them. And if your argument is, well, we need them because then people will have sympathy for people with developmental disabilities. And I want to ask you, are you fucking with me? Are you fucking kidding? No, they won't. What kind of argument is that? Oh my god. Okay, listen. Most people don't even know what developmental or cognitive disabilities are. Most people don't even know the connection between the terms idiot and stupid and moron. So how could they possibly get any kind of consciousness from this? The understanding with these words being connected to disabled people is a subconscious thing. Most people, when they use these words, aren't thinking, you know what, I'm bringing public consciousness back to disabled people. No, that's not what they're doing. That's not what they're doing. Okay? When they use these words, are comparing bad things, just generalized bad things. Let's use Trump as an example. They're comparing Trump to people with developmental disabilities. They may not be thinking that they're doing that. I almost completely guarantee you, they're not actively thinking like, oh yes, a person with Down syndrome, a perfectly normal, fine person with Down syndrome is exactly like Donald Trump. No, that's not what they're thinking. But what this does in their brain is it takes all those stereotypes about developmentally disabled people and it matches it up with shitheads like Donald Trump. You start to associate words with bad things. Okay, and let me give you another example here because this is very topical and I'm a very topical YouTuber. The shootings that happened recently. All the time. Every day. Just every day. Okay? How many times do people try to use the excuse that they are mentally ill? Didn't Trump literally just come up with the idea to make mental institutions to stop mass shooters and terrorists? Isn't that what he just did? So now let's see. We've taken the idea of the crazed shooter and we've connected that word to mentally ill. Now, maybe that's not the only factor into why people believe these things, but it is a big factor. That we have normalized the idea that crazy means bad. How many times do you see the word crazy meaning something good? I mean, unless you're from fucking Boston, nothing is crazy good. Okay? It's usually crazy bad. And this is even more prevalent, I think, or even more exemplified by words like idiot, stupid, or moron. Because they're never used in a good way. How often do you compare someone to a developmentally disabled person and mean it as a compliment? Not often, is my guess. Okay? Also, please don't do that. There's a whole other reason why you shouldn't do that, but for the purpose of this case, hold it in your brain, okay? So, I'm gripping my microphone so hard that my hand is turning red. Oh my god, look at that. I'm sorry. I get very passionate. That's why I can only film these videos at night. So I can wake up my whole family. Look. And I'm not just talking to re-education here. I'm talking about all abled neurotypical people. You're not the only ones that do these things. Disabled people and neurodivergent people, people with mental illnesses, are perfectly capable of doing these exact same things, of propagating ableism. We do it all the time. In fact, I do it all the time. I slip up. And if you slip up, that's fine. And, like, the effort is all I'm asking. Just put in effort. Just put in some energy into this. Because we put in a lot of energy for you. And I think this is a pretty small ask. Like, I think, it's not a big deal to ask you to do this. If... Just put in the effort. Okay. I'm going to try to end this video now. And I'm going to talk to re-education specifically. I think it's good that in your video you ask for opinions. And I was just going to comment on the video and not make a reaction to it, but I knew it would be a million paragraphs long. So I made this video. And if you do watch this video, number 1, holy shit. Number 2, hi. And number 3, I really want you to understand the frustration we have and how disheartening it is to feel unsafe and unwelcome in your own community, especially with public figures. And if you have a ton of subscribers and you're part of the upper echelons of YouTube, you have a responsibility. Like, I don't think this is controversial to say. If you're a public figure, you're held to higher standards than private citizens. And that is something that you decide to take on when you get into this. If I ever get a bajillion fucking subscribers, I will have the exact same responsibility because I am affecting the lives of more people than the average Joe. And I want you to understand that the things you say affect people, a lot of people. Even people beyond your viewers, because your viewers are going to go and take your ideas and apply them into real life with their interactions with other people. And you have a very big reach here. There is a huge effort going on right now among disabled leftists to bring the attention to ableism that is deserved. There is a huge effort going on right now for people to start recognizing on the left the amount of ableist things they do. And it is very important for the public figures of LeftTube, of BreadTube, of fucking whatever tube, to pay attention to this shit and to listen to us. Because there's not very many of us. We are not only a minority in general society, we are a minority in leftist spaces. And no matter what you do, and I can't make you do anything, obviously, I just want you to consider that. Consider your responsibility to not only your audience, but the fact that what you do is going to affect disabled people. Because you have such a big platform, and I don't know if you even think of yourself as having a big platform, but you do. What you say will affect us in our day-to-day lives. And I hope you realize that this isn't just about rhetoric or optics or words that you type online. This is bigger than that. This is about our day-to-day fucking survival. And maybe it isn't a big deal. Maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm just being a big old baby bitch, okay? But is it worth it? Like, that is one of the questions that I have for a lot of these people. Not just free education, just people in general on the left. Is it worth it to risk harming people? Like, just because, oh, well, maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe we're okay. Maybe it's allowed. Maybe the PC gods will allow this. Is it worth it, though? Is it worth it to take that risk? To know that you could be harming people? And that's all I want to say about this. Okay, I hope that this video came off in the way that I intended. I know I did get a little bit heated, but this is a very heated topic. I did mention Snapple and Cats, also known as Twitchy Spoonie, on Twitter in this video, and you should definitely check out her channel. If you're a disabled leftist, and you're making content on YouTube or on Twitter or wherever, let me know, and I will promote your stuff to the best of my ability. I don't have a big platform, but I will promote your stuff. And I don't know how to end videos. I've talked about this before. All I can say is thank you for taking the time to watch this, and I hope that I really hope that LeftTube doesn't hate me now, because I like you guys. Oh my god. I hope you appreciate how weird it is, because I've had this weird parasocial relationship with LeftTube for a while. Like, I've been watching Reeducation's channel for a while, and now I'm making a video that he could possibly see and interact with, and like fucking, like, oh my god, that's fucking weird. Like, a month ago, like 2 months ago, I had no subscribers. I made my YouTube account 2 months ago, and now I am talking to people that are way bigger than I am. So I hope you appreciate how fucking weirded out I am right now. And that's all I have to say.